Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? Another week, another episode. This is Stats Over Politics. As always, I'm your host, Shaun Holko, alongside my guys, Kevin Dent, Jaevon Toddy. We're back for episode number 151. It's my first episode in a few, as the guys held it down for me as I was at my family reunion about 10 days ago, and I appreciate them for that. Back-to-back episodes and back-to-back days. Kudos to both the guys on the panel with me for that. Starting things off with Mr. Jaevon Toddy. How you doing?
Doing good. Missed a lot. A lot has changed in the, coming weeks that we missed. We didn't record last week, but, a lot has changed, physically. Yeah, a lot. Lots changed. New looks, someone might say.
Yeah,
a lot going on.
Speaking of new looks, Kevin Dent, for the audio-only listeners, tell them what you got going on now. Well, it would help if you unmuted yourself. That would help.
Awkward. Got my AI braids in. No hang time yet, but give me a couple months. I'm gonna be hang time. I'm looking like Toddy in a couple months, so just give me some time. Bear with me. For the audio-only listeners, you will not be able to see the crinks in my neck. For those of you that do not follow me on Instagram, I went boating yesterday. Took a couple nasty wipeouts tubing. So my body hurts. I usually stand during the podcast, but that will not be happening today. So I'm just surviving, man. Can't complain. A lot of big news in the trade market. If you ask Toddy, one of the best corners were traded, and now the Eagles should be in trouble because they're not the best team in Philadelphia anymore. Pennsylvania, excuse me. So a lot of good things to get into. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, we do have a lot of great things to get into. Jam-packed episode as we're going to focus on things that have happened in the last 2 weeks or so in the NBA as well as in the NFL. And football season is coming up. Before we know it, guys, it's about 2 months away from the regular season starting. And some teams are going to have a new look coming up this season, including the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have revamped their team. We know about Aaron Rodgers signing with the Steelers, but also a player that the Steelers traded years ago for has now been shipped back to the team that they got him for, and that is Minkah Fitzpatrick being traded from the Dolphins to the Steelers, now from the Steelers back to the Dolphins in exchange for a package that was centered around Jalen Ramsey. And so, Jaevon, I know that you felt very passionate about this trade. And so just what are your thoughts on this move between the Dolphins and the Steelers? Who got better?
I think ultimately Pittsburgh got better. I'm looking at it from a sense of you have Minkah Fitzpatrick, an all-pro, all NFL, or a type player, Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's younger. I think he's 3 years younger. You got a guy in Jalen Ramsey. I wouldn't say he's at the tail end of his career, but he's approaching the age of 30. Kevin's Sia age, as we like to say. He's more expensive. He's a little bit more loose in the sense of the way that he plays. Is Jalen Ramsey a top 5 corner now? That's debatable. This was like 3 or 4 years ago. You wouldn't even think about it. But now it's kind of like, okay, you're trading for an older, more expensive corner, and you're going to have to pay the remainder. I think it's $26 million of his contract. Minkah was making only like 12, 13, something like around that. And they still got to pay TJ Watt. So I'm looking at it from okay, you just paid for an older, more expensive corner. TJ Watt, one of the top defenders in the league, wants quarterback money. And he's a no-show OTAs. So they have a whole nother beast to worry about. And, obviously they have Aaron Rodgers there. So a lot of people calling this team the retirement home. Just because it's a lot of older players, seasoned vets. This Pittsburgh team has been to the playoffs multiple times, but has not won a playoff game in how long, Kevin?
10 or a decade. Well, let's say 10.
Yeah, so it's been about a decade. So I know our guys, Gary and Cordell, will continue to push the line for their Steelers, and we all with the winning season. We're another winning season, but they continuously lose in the first round of playoffs. Now does Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, all these guys, does that help them? I'm not sure. Now we'll see going forward how good is this offense. The offense is still what the offense is going to be. Now, I'm the guy that came on this podcast almost about a few weeks ago, said that the Steelers will win 10 games. A lot of people kind of said I was insane. I still think that given their schedule, they still can win 10 games. I don't know. I mean, they won 10 games last year with a Russell Wilson and Justin Fields led team. I would like to argue that the team is more led by their defense, and their best defender is a no-show. So as far as the move goes, and I forgot to mention, obviously they also got Jonnu Smith, who is 30 years old. He's also the big T word. We're gonna call that the T word. Just in sports. Kevin, just whenever you talk, how old is he? Oh, he's 30. Oh, gotta get him up out of here.
Back.
So I mean, Johnny Smith had an insane year last year, so you kind of look at it. This is just a more seasoned team. Now, a lot of people are going to look at the Steelers receivers, they got DK Metcalf, who's not really a route runner. He's more of a big play, fade route type of receiver. You could look at it from, we have Pat Fryermuth and we got Jonnu Smith that could go double tight ends. That could be another thing that how they try to get those guys involved in the passing game. But at the same time, you're going to look at it. And I know we did a factor cap, I think it was. Well, I don't even think it was a factor cap. I just brought up the sense, is Aaron Rodgers going to throw for over 25 touchdowns? And I think most of us said no. So you're still looking at that offensive end of the ball and what it's going to look like and kind of where is the Steelers team? Because their best player is still a no-show. And like I said in the beginning, he wants quarterback money. So that's going to be – I feel like that's the main thing that the Steelers are trying to get done. I feel like it'll all eventually work itself out. But, I mean, my goodness, $40 million for a – how old is TJ Watt? He's 29, 28, Kev? He's 30? Uh-oh. He's trying to give $40 million to another 30-year-old. I mean, hey, it's just something that we got to look at. So Steelers are just going to have to figure out where they're going to be at the next couple of weeks. Training camp's around the corner.
He's 30 years old, Toddy. Sorry, I was muted.
I heard. I saw the words. So yeah. The Steelers are going to have to. I mean, training camp is like 2 weeks away. Yeah, about 2 weeks away. So teams are going to start entering. And the Steelers are going to be on TJ Watt. TJ Watt watch. So we'll see how that goes. But I mean, as far as the move goes, acquiring Johnny Smith and Jalen Ramsey for Minkah Fitzpatrick essentially is what the deal is. I mean, we'll see where that takes them.
Yeah, we can add elite lip reader to Jaevon's resume right there. And I mentioned at the top of this segment, basically Jalen Ramsey for Minkah Fitzpatrick is, for the audio-only listeners right now, you're missing out because Mako Toddy has made an appearance on the podcast. But the entire package is, as the Dolphins announced, was the Dolphins agreed to terms on a trade with Pittsburgh for safety Minkah Fitzpatrick and a 2027 fifth-round pick in exchange for quarterback Jalen Ramsey, tight end Jonnu Smith, and a 2027 seventh-round pick. So basically, as Toddy said, Ramsey and Smith plus a seventh-round pick for Fitzpatrick and a fifth-round pick. So really, the Dolphins are getting a better pick in 2027 by 2 rounds for Jonnu Smith. And then you look at it as Minkah for Jalen straight up. And Kevin, before I get your thoughts on this, I wanted to mention the other trade that the Miami Dolphins have made recently, as they announced today that they agreed to terms on a trade with the New York Giants for tight end Darren Waller, a.k.a. Jonnu's replacement, and a 2027 conditional seventh-round pick in exchange for a 2026 sixth-round selection. So the Dolphins have brought Darren Waller out of retirement. I guess he wasn't succeeding as much as he had wanted to as a rapper, and so now he's returning to the NFL, coming out of retirement. The Dolphins have replaced Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith with Minkah Fitzpatrick and Darren Waller. And so, Kevin, from your perspective, is this an upgrade for the Dolphins, or is this a downgrade considering the 2 players that they swapped out for the 2 that they got?
The Dolphins need a lot of work. They need a lot of help. We've seen Tua get to the playoffs and kind of turn into a pig, or for better terms, frog. I think the biggest thing with them is health. They have the 2 receivers in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. They lost Jonnu Smith, who was the 4th leading reception or yards as a tight end last year. Toddy says he's one of the best tight ends in the NFL, and he is. So for him to be off this offense, we saw Deandre Ayton get hurt a lot last season. So they're really injured a lot. So I think as long as they can stay healthy, filling out a guy for Darren Waller, for a Jonnu Smith, won't matter. If they're healthy, that doesn't really matter. As far as the Steelers go, I'm not going to buy it. I'm not buying into this shit. I was the guy, when the Jets traded for everybody. They got Allen Lazard. They got Devontae Adams. They got all the Packers players to come follow Aaron Rodgers, and I thought they were going to be able to keep it going. I don't know if you guys watched The Last Dance, but there was the Bulls, when Michael Jordan came back, they played the Orlando Magic. And one of the Orlando Magic players said, 45 is not 23. 12 is not 8. This is not the same Aaron Rodgers that's winning MVPs, winning a Super Bowl MVP, not winning just one MVP, but 4 MVPs. This is no longer that version of Aaron Rodgers. What does this version of the Steelers look like? I have no idea. But bringing in a guy like Jonnu Smith really just covers the fact that they don't have a wide receiver 2 option. So bringing in Jonnu Smith, like I said, who was the 4th leading in receiving yards for a tight end at 884. Just at 17 games, if he plays that 18th game, maybe he hits 1,000 yards. If he has a consistent quarterback, maybe he hits 1,000 yards. They have a lot of things going for this Steelers offense. But defensively, what is Jalen Ramsey going to get? You sign a guy like Darius Slay. You got Joey Porter, who's a young receiver, up and rising corner. Do you put him on the back burner? Do you put his development on the back burner for a guy like Jalen Ramsey? There's been a lot of reports that Jalen Ramsey is going to get snaps at safety. So now you're going to kind of change his position. So there's a lot of things going on. And like Toddy said, the biggest thing hanging over their head is TJ Watt. He is not there. He is the leader of this defense. Yes, Toddy said they were a 10-win team, and I agree. It was led by their defense. If you don't have TJ Watt on this team, and I get it, he kind of was in and out last year. His consistency wasn't there as it is in past years. But TJ Watt is still TJ Watt. Take him off that defense. What does this team look like? He allows guys like Cam Hayward to be all-pro because you have to put 2 guys on TJ Watt. So there's a lot of things to say about this Pittsburgh Steelers team, but I am not going to buy into it. Like I said, I was all in for the Jets. I bet the over on wins. I had a 6-leg parlay. All 5 teams hit, and I couldn't get the Jets to do it. So because of that alone, I am no longer drinking the Aaron Rodgers Kool-Aid. So he's going to have to go show me. I know I'm not a Steelers fan, but as a football fan, if you're looking at trajectory of building a team, you draft Shedeur Sanders and you build around him, or you draft a young quarterback. Bringing in Aaron Rodgers, knowing he's going to be here for 1 year and 1 year only, you're going to try to compete. So you're not going to be in a position to get an Arch Manning, Sellers, Drew Allen. Like, you're not going to get a good enough pick to get a good quarterback. So you're just continuing this role of just mediocrity over and over and over. And if doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result is a definition of insanity. So I don't know what the Steelers are going to do. Like I said, Gary can come on here and give me more of a breakdown from a Steelers perspective. But looking at it from a long term, I don't know. This might be before Aaron Rodgers came, we said this might be the first year Mike Tomlin has a losing season. And I still think they have a good chance to have a losing season. So, Steelers fans, I wish you luck. Happy it ain't me. Happy it ain't me.
Y'all play the Steelers this year? Okay.
Nah. Darius Slay said he was only joining a team that didn't play the Eagles.
Well, that battle of Pennsylvania would have been great if they did. But my favorite storyline from either of these trades is the fact that DK Metcalf and Jalen Ramsey used to be the biggest of rivals when they were in the NFC West together. And you had Ramsey on the Rams, and you had DK Metcalf on the Seahawks. They used to always go head-to-head. They used to always be matched up. They used to scrap it out. And now they're going to be teammates. So either DK Metcalf is going to make Jalen Ramsey the best version of himself and get those last couple years out of him before he ends up retiring or at least falls into mediocrity completely, or they're going to be fighting daily in practice and things are going to not go well for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But we should all wait and see. The Steelers have certainly been making moves throughout this offseason, and so it'll be really interesting to see how it all pans out for them. Jaevon said 10 wins. I said 9 wins, and this was all reacting to the Aaron Rodgers news. Kevin, before we move on to some NBA topics, what's your prediction for how many wins the Steelers have this upcoming season?
7. You don't know how long Aaron Rodgers is going to hold up. And that's the biggest thing with me. And if he's not going to hold up, and then you now have to put a Will Howard in or a Mason Rudolph, it really just mixes things up. But if they can stay healthy, I'm all with you guys on 10 wins. But like I said, I'm not drinking the Aaron Rodgers Kool-Aid, so I'm going to say 7.
All right. Fair enough. As we keep things moving here on episode 151 of Stats Over Politics, Shaun Holko alongside Jaevon Toddy and Kevin Dent. Guys, now we will transition to basketball as there has been a big hiring made in the NBA this past week as the New York Knicks have hired Mike Brown as their next head coach to replace Tom Thibodeau. And I, for one, as a Sacramento Kings fan, am very happy for Mike Brown. He should have never been fired from Sacramento. And so to see him not only get rehired by another team right away in the following offseason, but to also see him become the head coach of a real contender, at least coming out of the Eastern Conference, I am so happy for Mike Brown. But Kevin, I'm going to toss this to you first as my fellow Sacramento Kings fan on the panel, and then we'll hear from Boston. What are your thoughts on the Knicks hiring Mike Brown, Kevin?
So this is the second time he will be employed by also getting paid by another team. So that's a crazy stat. He's just sitting back and making the money. And I'm a big.
Has he ever coached the Knicks before? My fault, Kevin.
No, he's never coached the Knicks before. I'm a big Mike Brown fan as a Kings fan. But seeing what he did before the Kings, going from Tom Thibodeau to Mike Brown is a slap in the face to Tom Thibodeau. This man just took it to the ECF. A lot of Mike Brown's success was with LeBron James, with Kobe Bryant. I don't think the Knicks have a Kobe or LeBron. They did add Jordan Clarkson.
They got Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, no. So now they have some depth, some bench depth. Excuse me. They got the guy from France that dunked on Braun. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. But I feel like they should have gave Tom Thibodeau another go around. You changed the whole team in perspective the day before the season started. Getting rid of Dante, getting rid of Julius Randle. Julius Randle wasn't even a part of that playoff run last year, and you came a game 7 away from the ECF. So I would have preferred them run it back. But I'm focusing on Mike Brown. He's a good guy to run this team. He's an offensive-minded coach. We saw him, running up and down the court for the Kings sprint. He's very emotional, and he's going to make sure that they get the job done. It is a win, or it's a win. It's NBA Finals or bust. If everyone's healthy going into next year, I think, if they don't make it, he gets some kind of leeway. But if he is not winning, if he's not even in the NBA championship next year, he might get fired again because they're in a win now moment. The East is down. Tyrese Halliburton is down. Jason Tatum is down. Everyone's going all in this season. You see the Hawks making their moves we'll talk about later. The Magic making their moves. Everyone's going all in now because the East has never been more open than what it is now. So for maybe, changing the culture, using more of their bench, we'll see what they can do. I really hope this works out for Mike Brown. The way it's gone since Tyrese Halliburton left, once you leave the Kings, you really flourish in life. So, maybe next year in the NBA Finals, I'll be rooting against them just because I don't want to have the narrative on my head that we had an NBA Finals coach on our bench and we just let him walk. So, Mike Brown, I wish nothing but the best for you. Hopefully, you can get some more depth pieces, maybe move a Karl-Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby. I know they really regret trading 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. But the Knicks got a lot of good things going on. Like I said, first time in 25 years going to the ECF. Unfortunately, they just ran into Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers. But like I said, they won't be in the way next year. They got over the NBA championship Boston Celtics fully healthy. So it's going to be interesting to see.
That's a really interesting take, Kevin, regarding next year being boom or bust for them, because what I was going to ask Jaevon is, as a Celtics fan, just like the Pacers know, that you're basically punting on next season. And so I was going to ask Jaevon before you said that, Kevin, I was going to ask him whether if he's worried about Mike Brown for years to come or if it's just for a year or two. So you kind of laid it out there. But I will say 2 things in response to what you had to say, Kevin. Number one, I think the name you were looking for is Gershon Yabusele. I don't know if I got the last part of his last name right.
His name.
He used to be on the 76ers, correct?
Yes, last year, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
But he's known for LeBron. That's why I said that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's Gershon. I remember his name just because I had him on my fantasy team at points last season. And the other thing I was going to say is he may not have been an NBA championship winning head coach, but Mike Brown did stack some rings as an assistant coach, and he also was the head coach of the Cavs that year that Braun. I believe so, because he had
Spurs.
Yeah, so the three with Golden State. And was he there in 99 with the Spurs? I know for sure he was there in 03. And then obviously he lost to the Spurs in 07. I think he might have 4. I'm going to say 03 and then the 3 with the Warriors. But anyways, Jaevon, I wanted to get your thoughts on this. 4? Okay, thank you. And so what are your thoughts on the Knicks hiring Mike Brown, Jaevon? Because the Celtics obviously aren't going to be contending this upcoming season, as we've seen the fire sale. As you've been saying in our group chat, your team's making moves, unlike the Golden State Warriors, who have yet to make a single move. And so, are you worried about Mike Brown being the head coach of the Knicks in the long run? Or even if he is, how do you feel about that as a Celtics fan?
I think Mike Brown's one of the top coaches in the NBA. I mean, he not too long ago he was literally named Coach of the Year. This was what 2 years ago. This was when the world made sense, as some Kings fans might say. They were in the playoffs. De'Aaron Fox was Clutch Player of the Year. De'Aaron was dropping however much, 40. Vivek won Executive of the Year, or was it
Monty McNair?
Monty McNair. And then, you guys basically swept the NBA awards, minus like scoring title, MVP, and Defensive Player of the Year. But I mean, guys had a lot of guys winning awards. And then, a couple of guys get injured. They go on a skid. Vivek panics and fires Mike Brown, which was insane. It was kind of like a bombshell. Kevin was like, well, time to blow it up, guys.
Next thing let's get Zach LaVine. Let's contend.
Let's continue. DeMar DeRozan.
Number 2 overall pick if we took one of those fucking Hawks picks.
There we go.
Dylan Harper should be in Sacramento.
And that's how usually the Kings are going to have to build out their rosters, through the draft, not through free agency. And, I mean, as far as the Knicks go, I mean, the Knicks, they're a well-oiled machine now. Just went to the Eastern Conference Finals. You got Jalen Brunson. You got Karl-Anthony Towns. Mikal Bridges. I don't know if you guys saw this Twitter post. This guy took a picture of Mike Brown, and then he asked him, he's like, so we getting Giannis or we getting LeBron? And then Mike Brown goes, I'm not trading my wings. So, I thought that was pretty cool. But I think the way that the roster is currently constructed, they're kind of just ready to win now. And that's kind of what, is going to help out in the Knicks' favor, because as Kevin already mentioned, the East is down, so it's wide open. You got teams like Halliburton, who just made the finals, and the Pacers. He's out for the year. Jason Tatum obviously out for the rest of the year. The Bucks missing Damian Lillard, who ultimately ended up getting waived. But they got Miles Turner though. But there's a couple of teams like the Knicks feel like they can do it. The Magic feel like they can get in there and make some moves. The Cavs obviously were the number 1 seed last year. Kind of fell apart at the end. The Hawks are another team. Yes, Kevin mentioned. The Sixers are one of those teams. They're like, hey, if Joel Embiid's healthy, we got an all-world type of player. And if Paul George is healthy, if he comes back to form, we got Tyrese Maxey, and we got all these guys. We got the number 3 pick, BJ Edgecombe, who's had 28 in the summer league. He's coming out. So Sixers fans, Philly fans, they believe that this could be their year. Process is done. So there's just there's a couple of teams out there that feel like it's a wide open, it's fair game for anybody. And, the Knicks are just trying to find their coach in Mike Brown, who I believe is a really good coach. But like Kevin already mentioned, they just went to the Eastern Conference Finals, and they had Tom Thibodeau. And I get it. The way that his coaching style kind of wears you out a little bit. And it's like, okay, but year before, if you look at it, like a couple of years, they make the playoffs, they lose, get to the second round, Brunson breaks his hand. I think a bunch of us thought that, hey, if that doesn't happen, Brunson was on a historical run in that playoff season a year ago. Well, 2 years ago now, as Kevin would like to say. And if that wouldn't happen, they probably could have made the Eastern Conference Finals. But then they actually get to the Eastern Conference, beat the Boston Celtics, and they just they run out of gas a little bit. And I think now the Knicks just need a little bit of fine tuning, and I think Mike Brown's going to be able to provide that. And a lot of Kings fans are kind of just like, damn, shaking their head because they know the Knicks just got better and how good of a coach he actually is. And I feel like Dolan is, another one of those owners that's kind of like, hey, he's up there. He kind of had a stretch where it was just, where they just weren't winning after those mellow years. It kind of looked ugly after, and it was just, the Tingus Pingus Phil Jackson, those years. So now that they have, guys like Brunson and Cat in the mix, they're able to, you see how crazy these Knicks fans are when they're winning. So congrats on the hire. I think all of us want to see Mike Brown do well because we know how good of a coach he actually is. So
I do not want him to do well
because he knows that should be the coach of the Sacramento Kings right now.
You're damn right. You lead the Kings, you should not be able to do better in life. You should do worse.
That would be crazy, though, for, Tyrese Halliburton to make the finals. And if the Knicks make the finals, the Kings are just always figuring out a way to make headlines in June
where it's the Knicks? Imagine a world where it's the Knicks versus the Spurs.
That actually seems pretty likely to.
De'Aaron Fox, Mike Brown, just Kings players all over the finals.
Can you imagine the close-ups when they're always covering their mouth and they're just laughing? They're talking so much shit about the Kings like this. They're just like this. Yeah,
those fuckers.
Yeah, sure is glad that we got out of Sacramento.
Who would have thought it? Look at us. Who would have thought about this?
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
Me.
It'll certainly be a tougher path for the Spurs to get out of the Western Conference and get to the finals next year than it would be for the Knicks, because you look at the Eastern Conference right now, and given everything Toddy just mentioned, where Jason Tatum's out for the year, Celtics, you can consider them not contenders. Pacers are out for the year. The Pacers, we're going to talk about free agency next, but the Pacers are going to be without arguably two of their three best players next season, where, Siakam will still be there, but Tyrese Halliburton is confirmed out for next season, and Miles Turner just decided to go to their rival in the Milwaukee Bucks to build his Legos. And so the Pacers are out of it. They won't be contenders next year. And you look at the Eastern Conference, the Cavs will be there, but are the Cavs going to do what the Cavs like to do and have a great regular season and then choke in the playoffs? Because unless LeBron James is walking through that door, I'm not counting the Cavs as real deal contenders in the playoffs, because since LeBron has been there, the Cavs have not had a sustainable run throughout the playoffs. Donovan Mitchell's great. Darius Garland's great. Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, but they always seem to fall short. So it really seems like it's the Knicks versus the field, in my opinion, when it comes to the Eastern Conference. Once they get to the finals, if they get there, they're going to face a juggernaut coming from the West. And so an NBA championship isn't guaranteed for the Knicks next season. But I can confidently say right now, and I understand all the similarities between Mike Brown and Tom Thibodeau, both being defensive-minded head coach. But the thing about Mike Brown that's different than Tom Thibodeau is Mike Brown knows how to use other players in his rotation. The one thing about his rotation, though, that a bunch of Kings fans absolutely hated, primarily as it comes to my close personal friend from Cabo, Keon Ellis, is that Keon Ellis somehow got on Mike Brown's shit list. And so no matter what Keon Ellis did, he could never get fully in the rotation, because when Mike Brown gave him a chance to get in the rotation, he did something that Mike Brown didn't like, and then he got sent off to Siberia. And so I saw a tweet recently that just made me laugh when it came to Mike Brown and the hiring by the Knicks. Is someone said, I can't wait to see Karl Anthony Towns have a turnover with 3 minutes to go in the first quarter, and then he gets benched for the rest of the game, because that's how Mike Brown operates. And so I think this is a great hiring for the Knicks. I'm ready to come out and say right now, the Knicks are going to be the 2026 Eastern Conference champions. I can't tell you that they're going to end up winning the finals, but the Knicks are going to get to the finals with Mike Brown as their head coach and the nucleus that they have intact, because they already made it to the Eastern Conference Finals this past year. Yeah, Jaevon, I'm planting the flag. But they already made it to the Eastern Conference Finals this past year. As Kevin was saying, first time in 25 years. I was surprised that they let go of Tom Thibodeau, but James Dolan is one of those owners, just like a Vivek Ranadive, where they can't keep their hand out of the cookie jar, and so they always feel like they need to make these moves. But is it finals or bust for the Knicks next season? I feel like it's closer to being finals or bust than it is for them to just get to the playoffs or get a top 4 seed. And so I'm confident that Mike Brown can take them there, because if anyone can do it, it's Mike Brown. Mike Brown took a team that had not made the playoffs in 17 years, had not had a winning season in 17 years, and he led them to back-to-back winning seasons. And who knows what would have happened if they let him finish out the 13-18 season that the Kings got off to a start with. I guess we'll never know. But the last thing I'll say about this is I just absolutely love the contrast on this podcast and think it's hilarious just between Kevin and I, both being Kings fans, because Kevin on one side is like, you're not on the Kings, I want you to fail. Versus I'm like, you're not on the Kings, I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. Like, I'm rooting for De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Halliburton, Mike Brown, so on. You know, and I'll give my final thought with this. This past weekend, actually on 4th of July, my girlfriend and I, we went up to Sacramento, got to go to a A's Giants game to celebrate 4th of July. But before we went there, we went to the Folsom Outlets just to check out all the various sales that they were having. And at a lid store, they had a De'Aaron Fox jersey on sale for $35. And I was like, $35? What? And then they had an additional discount on top of that where it was like 20% off. And so then I ended up getting a De'Aaron Fox jersey, brand new, for $25. And Allie, she was all over me where she's like, you have too many jerseys. Why are you buying another? And I'm like, because it's $25 and I love De'Aaron Fox. And anyways, point being.
Was it a Spurs jersey?
No, it was Kings jersey. It was a Kings jersey. That is one thing I will not do. I will not buy a Spurs De'Aaron Fox jersey. I will not buy a Tyrese Halliburton Indiana Pacers jersey. But if there's something on super duper sale and it represents the Sacramento Kings, then hey, you know, I'm gonna continue to support my guys even when they're not in a Sacramento Kings uniform. Even players that have never worn a Sacramento Kings uniform, like future Eastern Conference champion Jalen Brunson. So that's that. Time to move on. I'm done showing all my selfies with random athletes. All right, guys, let's get to NBA free agency, because the big signing of last week was DeAndre Ayton being bought out by the Portland Trailblazers and signing with the Los Angeles Lakers, which seemed to be inevitable. And there have been a lot of other moves since then. And the move of today, there's a trade we'll get to in the next segment. But the biggest move of today is that the Orlando Magic paid Paolo Banchero a 5-year maximum rookie extension that could reach up to $287 million. Obviously, that is a move in-house and wasn't necessarily free agency, but it is a move that had to be made during the offseason. And Paolo is actually the first rookie to get a max since 2021 when Luka Doncic and Trae Young did so. And I thought about saving that for Shaun's pop quiz, but I thought that one might have been a little too easy. Anyways, Jaevon, I'm going to toss it to you on this one first. What are some NBA free agency moves that have stood out to you and why?
Well, I can start with the news that you just shared. Paolo Banchero, well-deserved, face of the franchise. Basically, I think it equates to up to $57 a year, which is, we're starting to get into the new CBA, the new money. These younger players are going to start getting that super max. But there's only going to be a couple of guys that are going to get that. Like Paolo's going to be one of those guys. Shea. I think Shea hasn't gotten his yet, but he's going to be one of those guys, obviously. So the all-NBA caliber, younger generation of guys are going to end up getting paid. So well-deserved for him. We kind of saw that coming. He's going to be the guy that they build around for years and years to come. He should retire in Orlando Magic. As far as other deals that we've seen today, it was John Collins to Miami for, I don't know what the trade was off the top of my head, But
Well, we'll get to that trade in the next segment when we talk about the 4 trades that have happened recently in the NBA. But as far as free agency though,
I mean, the Lakers, it's a name, DeAndre Ayton going to the Lakers, obviously getting bought out by the Blazers. They have a plethora of bigs over there already, and they already drafted a guy last year in Donovan Clingan out of UConn. So, I mean, the Lakers upgraded. They had Jackson Hayes as their 3, but, you see all the Laker fans on Instagram. We're back. We're back, guys. And I'm just like, are we back? Let's. How good is dominating? This is the guy that he was. He had the Valley Oop. You guys remember that in recent years when in the finals when they had the.
was that was in the Western Conference Finals against the Clippers?
Was
right?
it? I think that was in the finals. Was that not in the finals?
Or was it in the finals? Okay,
No,
I thought it was
in the
the.
finals.
It was against the Nuggets.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so it was in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not Jackson Hayes. So I mean, how good of a center is DeAndre right now? Is he a top 9, 8? Like, where are we at on how good he actually is? He can score the ball better than I think he's score the ball better than Jackson Hayes. Like, I don't know how much better than that the Lakers got because, well, he's a lob threat for Luka. I think what a lot of people aren't really talking about is that Luka Doncic kind of was their offseason. They traded for him last year, obviously. Half the year, I get it. Didn't really get a chance to get acclimated. It's tough for, anybody in the middle of the season to go to a new team and just go to the finals. So it's just like kind of unheard of. But they're kind of focused on him being the new guy. And a lot of talks are around, obviously, LeBron James and what he's going to be up for. I think he's just going to sign a 2-year extension, a 2-for-1, basically, which basically gives him an option after the first year. So it's essentially a 1-year deal. He'll probably sign that. Yeah, I mean, the Lakers, how good are they going to be next year? Can they be the 3rd seed again? I'm not sure. But J.J. Redick, a.k.a. Pat Riley, to Shaun Holko, got it in his first year. He got him to the 3rd seed. So is it the genius behind of J.J. Redick, or is it the roster that kind of lacks for the Lakers? I don't know. But then again, they do have Luka Doncic on the team in his prime. So, I mean, usually when Luka's healthy, his teams are pretty good. So I think they're kind of like, we'll be okay. But yeah, I feel like those are the top ones. I don't know if did we talk about Kevin Durant? We didn't talk about Kevin Durant. We did.
Yeah,
we did.
you guys covered it.
The
one thing that should be noted about the Kevin Durant trade is that it got expanded. Yeah, it got expanded into the first 17 trade in NBA history. And basically, it's not really worth rehashing just because
I thought the Kings would be a part of that.
I wish. But yeah, basically the parameters of the deal that you guys already talked about a couple episodes ago, that's remained the same. The big pieces have moved. But it was just a bunch of 2nd-round picks and player to be named later, all that. But it somehow became a 7-team trade. And so, Kevin, what have been some free agency moves that have stood out to you and why?
I'm surprised Tyler didn't mention it. The Denver Nuggets. I have them as one of my winners as free agency. Trading off a guy like Michael Porter Jr., when they drafted him, they really drafted him for upside. He was supposed to be one of the best players in the country. He had a lot of back problems, so he really never got to pan out to being the guy that they needed him to be. We saw in that championship run, Jamal Murray really expand his role into being one of the best number 2 best Robins in the NBA. And then he's kind of hit that wall. Aaron Gordon last postseason showed that he can be the 3rd best player on a championship team. So now that you got your big 3 in the Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, you fill them around shooters. You fill them around depth. We saw they really tried to focus on their young guys. They let guys go like KCP, Bruce Brown. Now they brought Bruce Brown back. They bring in a guy like Tim Hardaway. They bring in a guy like Cameron Johnson. Just bringing more depth to Nikola Jokic. Christian Braun really showed his ass this playoff season, but then you guys got like Julian Strawther, who was really inconsistent, Peyton Watson, another guy who was really inconsistent. So to add those three guys to this mix, I think the Denver Nuggets definitely have to be one of the winners of free agency. And the Houston Rockets. Yes, Kevin Durant kind of expanded on the Kevin Durant trade, being able to bring in Dorian Finney-Smith, 41% three-point shooter to fill out that team. They brought in a guy like Clint Capella. They re-signed Steven Adams. So now we can see Alperen Sengun play his true position, which I think is the 4. I think he just played the 5 on the Rockets because of the depth they had. So to add him onto that team, re-sign Jabari Smith. I'm a big Jabari Smith guy. And another big thing that I saw was the Hawks. They made the trade for Porzingis, but to sign a guy like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, we saw how big he was for the Timberwolves. We saw how much of an impact he had for the Timberwolves. And then add a Dookie, Luke Kennard, a sharpshooter, just to continue to add space around Trae Young, Kristaps Porzingis. I think the Hawks and the Nuggets are definitely one of my 2 winners. And then, the Los Angeles Lakers. Toddy said, can they make it to another top 3 seed? You're damn right they can. Toddy asked, how good is DeAndre Ayton? Is Giannis Antetokounmpo pretty good at basketball? Toddy?
I think he's
Joel Embiid pretty good at basketball?
I think he's pretty good, yeah.
The Joker pretty good at basketball?
Pretty good, Kevin.
Okay, so I bring that up because since the 2018 season, there is a list of guys to average 16 points, 10 rebounds on 50% efficiency. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis, Nikola Jokic, Karl Anthony Towns, Domas Sabonis, and you guessed it, Toddy, DeAndre Ayton. Luka Doncic brings the best out of it. Derek Lively in his rookie year had more dunks than DeAndre Ayton in his whole career. Why is that, you say? Luka Doncic. You bring him a rim runner who's going to go up there and go get it on the rim. He is going to be able to flourish. We saw DeAndre Ayton. I mean, hey, you can say DeAndre Ayton ain't good. The Suns have won 2 playoff series since he left.
Man, Kevin Durant.
He is on a list of 2 people with the highest field goal percentage while averaging 15 points. Zion Williamson and DeAndre Ayton. You got to give DeAndre Ayton the credit where credit is due. They now have 2 guys from the same draft, 2 top 5 picks in Luka and DeAndre Ayton. So the Lakers definitely, adding a much-needed bench or big man depth. If you ever play Rudy Gobert and he gives you 23 points and 25 rebounds, that just goes to show that you need a big man because Rudy Gobert should not be doing that against anybody.
What about I know it's not really I don't know if it's a big sign, but the Cam Whitmore deal to the Wizards. Do you feel like he could be a guy that they can bring maybe a starting wing for the Wizards, or is he just going to come off the bench and he'll see more minutes, but he's not going to be a guy they'll roll the ball out for?
I am happy you said that because Cam Whitmore, I came on here 2 years ago and said Jordan Poole was going to be able to change the world for the Washington Wizards, have a James Harden-like impact. Cam Whitmore as a starter in his career, 21 points, 7 boards, 54% from the field, 47% from 3. Last season, ranked 4th best out of players that have over 1,000 touches. He averaged a point per touch. So when he touches that motherfucker, it's going up. Cam Whitmore, the Washington Wizards, if you take the Spurs out of the picture, have the best young depth, young crew in the NBA. So I'm really excited to see what the Wizards do. You draft a guy like Johnson. He doesn't start. But he plays a lot, and he's in his home
right away.
Trey Johnson starts.
Well, Trey Johnson's their guard, right?
I mean, you got Bub, you got Trey, you got Alex Sarr, you got the other wing guy is Koulibaly.
Blau.
Yeah, Blau. So he's another wing guy. So he'll definitely be the 6th man, but you still got guys like CJ McCollum and Chris Middleton and Marcus Smart. So there's a lot of other vets in front of him, but he'll definitely get more minutes than did.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he'll look like in Washington. They don't let him rock out, and I feel like he's young, athletic. He's got to develop a shot a little bit more, but I feel like he's going to be pretty solid for them. I'm excited to see him. Some Wizards basketball, right? I don't think anyone has ever really came out and said that, but I think the Wizards are going to be that exciting, quirky, fun team. They're not. I still think they're going to be ass, but I think they're going to be fun to watch. Like I want to kind of. They're kind of like what I feel like they're going to be what the Hornets were a couple years ago when they were like when they made the play-in. Kind of just exciting to watch. You know, not really that good, but just you want to watch those young guys. The LaMelo's going through his legs, throwing it off the glass to Miles Bridges, like stuff like that. So. I think the Wizards will be one of those teams, those league pass teams that you have. What the Wizards doing tonight?
Yeah, the Wizards are definitely going to be a great young team. I think I saw a stat recently that it was like Bub Carrington did something as a rookie that hasn't been done like more than like 3 times in NBA history. I wish I had the stat right in front of me because it would sound a lot better than me trying to recall it. But when it comes to NBA free agency and do you guys want to scratch real quickly? Do you guys want to scratch the NBA trade segment next, or since we just covered a little bit?
Yeah, we kind of covered it with the free agency.
And Toddy, my bad. You began to talk about trades, and I kind of cut you off, so I apologize for that. I should have just blended this together as one segment rather than separating the two. So that's on me. But when it comes to NBA free agency, I really like the moves that the Milwaukee Bucks have made because. The Bucks, yeah, they had to waive and stretch Damian Lillard, who we know is going to be out for all of next season, and they proceeded to re-sign Bobby Portis. They re-signed Kevin Porter, and everything about Porter off the court, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of, but as a basketball player, he is a good bench piece in the rotation for them. They re-signed Gary Trent Jr., and then they proceeded to re-sign Jericho Sims and Taurean Prince. But the 2 big signings for them outside of their own team was the fact that they got Gary Harris on a veteran minimum deal. And a lot of people may be thinking, like, Gary Harris, is he still in the league? Like, why do I care? That's another good bench piece for the Bucks to surround Giannis with because they need to surround him with shooters. That's exactly what Gary Harris is. And then they lose Brook Lopez to the Clippers. Brook Lopez gets to go back to LA where he's from. And a lot of people may be thinking to themselves, like, yeah, you lost Brook Lopez. Giannis said Brook Lopez deserves a statue outside of the arena, Fiserv Forum. But to replace Brook Lopez with Miles Turner, who has proven himself as not only a great defender and rim runner in the NBA, but also the fact that the Bucks and the Pacers are rivals, and to take away a key piece, a franchise piece, a guy who may get his jersey retired in Indiana one day, and to sway him away and get him to sign with your team, so you not only upgrade your center, but you also weaken one of your biggest rivals. I love what the Bucks have done this offseason. We'll see if it was enough to get Giannis to stick around, but I feel like they've done what they can throughout this offseason. And the other free agency move that I wanted to mention was Duncan Robinson signing a 3-year, $48 million deal with the Detroit Pistons. And the reason why I wanted to highlight this one is Toddy's pump faking like crazy right now for the audio-only listeners, is when Duncan Robinson, I think he had like a $20 million player option with the Miami Heat on that 5-year deal that he signed during COVID.
He's on like $100 million deal.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and it's because a lot of other teams wanted him, and so the Heat were like, all right, if we want to keep our sharpshooter, then we gotta pay him hella money. And then they proceeded to not even play him or to keep him in the rotation, and he was making bank just to sit on the bench and have the best seat in the house. So when he had the 5th year of that deal on a player option, and he declined it, everyone on Twitter was saying, "Oh, he's stupid! Like, you're getting paid $20 million for the best seat in the house. Why would you decline that?" But it's because Duncan Robinson still wants to be an NBA player, and he still wants to be a contributor. And that's exactly what he will get the chance to do on the Pistons, and he adds to that young Pistons team. And the stat that Shams pointed out that I feel is worth repeating is that Robinson departed Miami after spending his first 7 NBA seasons with the Heat, and his 1,202 career three-pointers are the most in Heat franchise history, and he's become one of 8 undrafted players with at least 1,000 threes made in their career. And so quite the accomplishment for Duncan Robinson to have that kind of legacy that he's leaving behind in Miami, but he's also starting a new journey in Detroit. And hopefully for him, it all works out. But I wanted to highlight that deal as well because I feel like all the talking heads on Twitter were like, oh my God, he's declining a $20 million deal and he's not going to get signed by anyone. And he parlayed that into a 3-year, $48 million deal. And so he's getting almost as much as he would have on that 1-year deal if he opted in, and he's getting it plus 2 more years. And so good on Duncan Robinson, good move for him, and hopefully the opportunity ends up working out in Detroit for him because, as we said earlier, the Eastern Conference is absolutely wide open. So we shall see. Now, guys, it's time for the season finale of Shaun's Pop Quiz. Season 3 has come to an end here with episode number 151. And if we take a look at the leaderboard, Kevin currently has the lead at 22. Jaevon has 18. But Toddy, we got a lot of answers on the board here for you to try and steal season 3. So as we know, Kevin was the season 1 winner from episode 1 to 50. Jaevon was the season 2 winner from episode 51 to 104. And now we took a 3-episode break now from episode 108 to 151. It's to be determined. But right now, Kevin has the lead, and we shall see if he's able to close it out here with season 3 of Shaun's Pop Quiz. I don't know if you guys saw this, and this was another signing I thought about talking about, but I ultimately didn't. That's D'Angelo Russell signing with the Dallas Mavericks. D'Angelo Russell, who has ice in his veins, as Jaevon's showing for the audio-only listeners, D'Angelo Russell joined a long lineage of point guards who have suited up for the Dallas Mavericks and the Brooklyn Nets, or New Jersey Nets. So there have been several point guards who have started and played for the Nets and the Mavericks. Kevin, I saw you put a hand up, and so I'll go to you first. Who is a player that has played for the Mavericks and the Nets?
Let's get the obvious ones out the way because I don't think Toddy really knows ball. So let's go Jason Kidd.
Ding, ding, ding. That is correct. Jason Kidd won an NBA championship. Toddy is coming to you next. Jason Kidd won an NBA championship with the Mavericks after spending most of his career with the then New Jersey Nets. So, Jaevon, we're going to ping pong back and forth. So, Jaevon, you're up next. Who's another guy besides D'Angelo Russell or Jason Kidd who have played for the Mavericks and the Nets?
Deron Williams.
Ding, ding, ding. That is correct. Deron Williams is another guy who is well known for spending time between those two franchises. So Toddy gets a point. Kevin, back to you. Who is another point guard aside from those 3 that we've already named? There's 4 more. Who is another point guard who has played? Toddy, it's coming back to you after his guess. Don't worry. But Kevin, who's a point guard who has played for both franchises?
Please give me Devin Harris for $200, please.
Ding, ding, ding. Devin Harris is correct. And so now Kevin gets another point. All right. So we got Devin Harris, Deron Williams, Jason Kidd, D'Angelo Russell. There's 3 more at the top of my mind right now, Jaevon. Are you going to get all 3? Go ahead, Jaevon. You're up.
Give me Kyrie Irving for $300, Alex.
Ding, ding, ding. I'm surprised that wasn't the first one off the board.
That's what I thought he was going to say first.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Kai is his guy. So I definitely thought that was going to be coming off the board. I feel very strongly that you guys will get one of these answers, but I don't know if you'll end up getting the other one. And so, Kevin, there's 2 guys left who I'm thinking of. Who is one of those 2 guys?
I am absolutely cooked here, Shaun. I know this is wrong, but I'm going to guess because I know he played for one of the teams. Vince Carter.
Okay, so Vince Carter is correct, but Vince Carter played for both teams, but we're talking about point guards here. So as far as the pop quiz question goes, that answer is wrong, but Vince Carter has played for the Mavericks and the Nets in his career. And so, Jaevon, now it's back to you. There's 2 other point guards who have played for the Mavericks and the Nets in the 21st century. Who's one of those 2 guys who we haven't named?
I'll take Spencer Dinwiddie for 200, Shaun.
Damn!
Ding, ding, ding. That is correct. That is the one other guy that I felt confident you guys would get. There's one more guy on this list, and because I'm unsure of if you guys are – actually, there's 2 more, but we'll just settle with one more answer. Well, Jaevon, I'm going to toss it back to you, but just to keep the rotation going, Kevin, do you have any type of guess?
Is it just point guards or is it guards?
We're just talking point guards.
Would I guess him?
Probably not.
I'm cooked. I ran out of names.
All right. Well, I got a hint for you guys.
Let's try to go. Then give us a hint.
Yeah. We'll continue the rotation here. So, Jaevon, there's one other guy that I'm thinking of. There's actually 2 possible answers, but there's one other guy I'm thinking of that we have yet to name.
I'm going to say J.J. Barea.
Ooh, that is incorrect, but a good guess. Good guess. So the hint is this remaining player, who is a point guard that has played for the Mavericks and the Nets, also played for the Sacramento Kings.
Oh, I got this one.
Okay, who is it then?
It's Mr. Yogi, right? It's Yogi Ferrell.
Ding, ding, ding. That is correct.
I didn't know he played for the Nets. I knew he played for the Mavericks. I didn't know he played for the Nets.
Wow, what a
I was going to say Steve Nash because he coached the Nets.
Yeah. That would have been a shot in the dark right there. But all right. So
talk about a get in my gag, fries at the bottom kind of pull.
Yeah, that was a great pull. I
can't believe you guessed Devin Harris. I'm so mad about that.
I remember seeing the graphic, but I cut out after like the first 4 or 5 guys I knew.
Yeah, shout out to whoever made that graphic on Twitter because that's exactly what I was referencing right now.
He was supposed to say the Kings.
All right, so since Kevin just got that latest answer, Jaevon, I'm going to ask this next question to you, and I would hope that you would get it as a Tar Heels fan.
Oh God.
All right, so Jaevon, North Carolina has not produced an NBA All-Star since this player.
North Carolina.
Damn, that's a while.
Oh, I'm going back. All-Star. Vince Carter?
Ding, ding, ding. That is correct. Vince Carter. Yeah, Vince Carter is the last player from North Carolina to make an all-star team. So with that, Kevin has 25. Toddy has 22. I have one more question for you guys, and there's 5 answers to this question. So, Toddy, you still have a chance. I'm giving you a shot here. All right. Here we go. Kevin, this one's back to you since Jaevon just got that answer. So, we saw the starting 5. Season 1 featured players like LeBron, Domantas Sabonis, Jimmy Butler, Anthony Edwards, and who am I forgetting? You just named 4. LeBron, Domas, and
Jalen Brown.
Jason Tatum.
Oh, Jason Tatum. Yes, Jason Tatum. That is correct. In season 1, yes, that's correct. All right. So, Kevin, you get the first guess at this. There are 5 new players who will be in season 2 of starting 5, and it'll be based on this past NBA season. So, Kevin, there are 5 players who will be on season 2 of starting 5 on Netflix. Who's one of them?
Let's go Toddy's guy, Jalen Brown.
Ding, ding, ding. That is correct. Jalen Brown will be up on this upcoming season. Yeah. Toddy, I did not say anything about your guess because I knew the question that was coming up. I was hoping it would just float under the radar, but Kevin's a sniper, and that's why Kevin Durant is called Easy Money Sniper, and Kevin Dent is also Easy Money Sniper. All right, so Jaevon, there's 4. I'm sorry.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Ding, ding, ding. That is correct.
We just go ding for ding here, Shaun. I think we know.
I know. We're going to go dings for dings, and I'm not going to be able
to. Yeah, probably not. Yeah, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, he will have his NBA championship, NBA MVP, NBA champion, NBA Finals MVP. That'll all be chronicled on season 2 of Starting 5. Kevin, who's one of the other 3 guys?
Tyrese Halliburton. So now Toddy has no way to officially win. So Toddy, bring us on home, John B.
All right.
You look good Kevin, for the audios for the video.
With that, Kevin has been crowned season 3 champion of Shaun's Pop Quiz. So congratulations, Kevin. The crown. The crown is back on Kevin's head. So just for the sake of time, I'll mention the other 3. The other 3 are Kevin Durant, James Harden, and actually, no, that's it right there. Because we already got Jalen Brown, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Tyrese Halliburton. The other 2 are James Harden and Kevin Durant. And so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing Starting 5 on Netflix. Something else I wanted to mention real quickly while we're on this NBA topic, and then we got 2 more quick segments, and we're going to get out of here. Another reason why the Bucks, this is something I didn't get a chance to mention earlier, so forgive me for circling back. But another reason why the Miles Turner signing was so huge for the Bucks is that in the Eastern Conference, Miles Turner is the first Eastern Conference player since Dwight Howard who had at least 45 blocks in a playoff run. So they are getting an elite shot blocker. And you know what?
Dwight Howard?
I think so. Yeah, according to the stats. And so, anyways, that does it for Shaun's Pop Quiz Season 3. Maybe Season 4 will start next week. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But congratulations to Kevin, who is now our reigning, defending, undisputed champion of Season 3. He takes the crown back from Toddy, and I appreciate you guys for participating as always. Now, let's move on here on episode 151 of Stats Over Politics. Shaun Holko alongside Kevin Dent and Jaevon. Toddy, the W, which we are likely going to be talking a lot more about in the coming weeks without any football or basketball to talk about. As Uncle Manny said at the top of the show, we appreciate him for always tuning in. He said, have a great show, guys. No NBA and no NFL equals no fun. But Uncle Manny, there's WNBA and MLB, and the WNBA is growing. So the news in the recent week is that the WNBA has announced it will expand to 18 teams, with new teams in Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia. The team in Cleveland will play in 2028, followed by Detroit in 2029, and Philadelphia in 2030. For those of you like myself who may be diehard fans of the WNBA, you would know that Cleveland, the Rockers, formerly had a WNBA team, and the Detroit Shock used to be a WNBA team before both teams disbanded. And yes, Toddy, I'm sorry, say that. You said
we trade the Kings for the Monarchs?
I thought that's what you said, and I was hoping it's not what you said. You know,
they won titles.
I'm gonna say they won. I want to go to a parade, goddammit.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Shout out to the 2005 Sacramento Monarchs. But now the WNBA is expanding to 18 teams. As we know, the Valkyries are experiencing a lot of success in their first season in the Bay Area, the Golden State Valkyries. And then you have the Portland team coming back. They're going to probably be, well, I'm not going to say it because they may not end up being that team. But then there's also going to be a team in Toronto called the Toronto Tempo. And so that rounds out the 18 teams. And so, guys, obviously I love it as a WNBA fan, seeing the league grow. Jaevon, what are you thinking there with the Brian Windhorse hands?
Why is the WNBA expanding? Why? Is it because of a certain player that
Hmm.
just sells out arenas?
Hmm.
Is it because of another player who was also up and coming? She went to UConn, and they had to move the game to the Dallas Mavericks arena for the showdown. I don't know when that game is. When is that game, Shaun? Do you know?
Not off the top of my head, but I'll figure it out right now.
Is it because of a certain player who had a Nike Kobe collab, and it's sold out in minutes, and now resells for about $400? I actually wouldn't mind a pair. They're actually pretty fire.
Right.
This player that I'm talking about is Caitlin Clark. Yeah, I mean, she literally changed it right before our eyes, changing the game. And there is a certain somebody who's Superman or Superwoman, but Wonder Woman, whatever you want to call her. She's going to be out, I think, for the rest, maybe most of next year. Juju Watkins. She's on the way. Just want to let you know. she's coming. She's
and
coming.
I'll add that both of my fellow panelists said 2 years ago that Juju is better than Caitlin Clark.
So, I mean, Caitlin, what she's doing right now is groundbreaking. Literally, they're adding more teams to more cities, and sales are going up, and viewership's going up, and it's a whole thing, right? And, you got Paige Beckers with the Dallas Wings. Are they in the playoff contention, the Wings, Kevin or Shaun?
No, they're pretty bad.
But Paige is probably Rookie of the Year.
Paige is not only going to be Rookie of the Year, she might be first team All WNBA like Caitlin was as a rookie.
And that's kind of, and the Fever weren't as good as they were obviously right now. But that first year, you just saw, oh, she's different. Paige, we saw all these girls in college. Like we saw, obviously, Caitlin Clark in college, Paige in college. I think she tore ACL her sophomore year, was it? It was one of those years. And then she came back hooped, obviously. Juju Watkins is one of those special players that the guard play is becoming a little bit more exciting in the WNBA, women's basketball in general, and you're starting to see it more in the W, and it's getting very exciting. Like you're seeing like these people, like ticket prices are going up for the Wings Fever game, and they had to move it to the Maverick Stadium because it was so much. They outgrew their capacity. So, I mean, the W is obviously expanding. It's becoming a lot more exciting. People want to go out and they want to watch. Caitlin Clark is signing 8-7-figure Nike deals. Like these are unheard of things. So she's already making more than her salary currently. So I think with this expansion, we'll start to see, hopefully, the salaries start to go up a little bit more for WNBA pay. So, I mean, literally, you just see that about it. Caitlin is just one of those players that, like, we're talking like Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. Like, she's literally changing the game on how the viewership and how the money, like, all of that is literally, she's doing all that right before our eyes. So, I saw Kevin's face kind of scrunt up a little bit. He was like, hold on now. He started talking about these NBA legends, but I feel like
that's a stretch. I mean, she's doing good. Don't get me wrong, but
she's changing the game, I think is what's going on. And yeah, expansion is pretty insane.
It is pretty insane considering that just where the WNBA was just a few years ago and how much Caitlin is changing the game. And to follow up on the point that you were mentioning earlier, Jaevon, the game between the Wings and the Fever is going to be August 1st, and it'll be held at American Airlines Center, expanding from their 7,000 seat arena at College Park Center to 20,000 where the Mavericks play at American Airlines Center. And so, Kevin, what are your thoughts on WNBA expansion and the fact that the Monarchs still aren't back?
I'm a big guy with how he was preaching on. Me and him said, we did a factor cap. That was one of our most booming videos. is Caitlin Clark or is Juju better than Caitlin Clark? And me and Toddy said it then. If they came out the same year, Juju would have went first overall. So they're bringing a lot of big names, and the WNBA starting to notice that these big names are bringing in big bucks. So it's a get winner to get lost kind of thing.
Definitely. And for the audio only listeners right now, my AirPods keep dying on me. And so the viewers might be able to see that. But I'm just letting my co-hosts know, bear with me in case I don't respond right away because my AirPods are going in and out. And so with that, let's close things out with our final segment here on episode 151. And let's get to some this or that.
Uh-oh.
This or that DeAndre Ayton edition. First name up, Derek Lively.
DeAndre Ayton.
I'll take DeAndre Ayton
as well. Next name, Naz Reid.
Ooh, Naz Reid's more versatile. Give me Naz Reid.
Give me
Naz Reid.
Next name, Shaun's guy, Miles Turner.
Oh.
Miles Turner.
Miles Turner entered himself in the conversation with the 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. Miles Turner.
I don't know, man. We saw Miles Turner at his team's peak, and he didn't perform. I'm going to go DeAndre Ayton. Next name.
Well, hold on. Did Ayton perform in the 2022 NBA Finals or 2021?
Which player just got cut? And which?
They both look bad, but Miles Turner was non-existent. Miles Turner wasn't even shooting the ball. DeAndre Ayton just got him up.
Miles Turner just got the bag. DeAndre Ayton just got bought out.
Who got the bag first, though? There was a time when the Pacers did offer DeAndre Ayton a max with Miles Turner on the roster.
That's a fact. That is a fact.
That was like 2 years. How long ago was that, Kel? Like
2 years ago, maybe. Next name, Jaevon Zubac.
Ooh. Give me Ayton.
Give me Zubac. Like he had a DPOY kind of season. I give me Zubac.
Give me Big Zoo.
Oh.
Next name, Mark Williams.
Ayton.
Give me Ayton.
Mark Williams. Carl is on.
Give me Ayton as well. Next name, Jarrett Allen.
Jarrett Allen.
I think I'm going with DeAndre Ayton. I know Jarrett Allen had that one good season when he was an all-star, but I'm going to go DeAndre Ayton. Last name, Chet Holmgren.
Chet.
Jinx, you owe me a soda, Jaevon.
I'm going to go Chet as well, and that will do it for this or that DeAndre Ayton.
All right, and so with that, that's going to do it for episode number 151 of Stats Over Politics. You know the deal. Make sure to give us a like on YouTube. It helps us a lot. And if you enjoy the podcast, hit subscribe to get notifications when we go live. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Stats Over Politics and on X at Stats or Politics. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on all podcast platforms. And if you're enjoying the show, give us those 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it. As you guys have been tuned in to episode number 151 of Stats Over Politics. For my guys, Jaevon, Toddy, Kevin Dent, Kaz Johnson, and Alex Dent, I'm your host, Shaun Holko. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week on another episode of Stats Over Politics.
Go watch Love Island, everybody.